Good evening, everyone. This is Grim with M2 Mods. Came to discuss these radio connectors, these Tyco radio connectors on the 4th gen trucks, and specifically dealing with our backup camera harness here. And I've had a few questions on working with this radio connector, and a lot of people get this mixed up when they're going to add the backup camera. I just want to point out a couple things dealing with this. If I can get the zoom in here right. But if you look closely at the back, pin 1 is up in this upper left corner. These 3 wires here, people mix up. This is pins 1, 2, and 3 with the backup camera wiring down here in the bottom at 31, 32, and 33. And the reason I want to point this out, especially if they're working with the Mopar backup camera kit, because they make it super confusing. These are CAN bus and airbag deployment signal notifications for the truck. So what some people do is they go to install camera wiring for the backup camera, and they go, oh, there's wires here, because they're looking at it backwards like this, according to the Mopar directions, and not from the back. And I blame Mopar for making that confusing, because this is the side you're going to work with. But I've had people in the past cut these off just like this and take perfectly good terminals with wires on them for the backup camera and splice them in on the CAN bus input to the radio, which causes all kinds of weird problems and communication issues in the truck. Or they disconnect this or depin it and pull those 3 wires out if we're lucky, instead of working with the correct terminals down here. So I want to point that out to everyone. You'll notice this top left is pin 1, and this row goes across, and you can see it right here, the embossed numbers at the end of the row, 1 through 10 across here. Then there's a second row just below it, this yellow wire, going over to 20 here. And then 21 starts down here at this empty cavity. See if we can get some light in here to see it. And so you got, in this case, I've got 21, 22, and 23 empty. I don't know if you can see these. And then this connector came out of a truck with a cargo cam, because here's 24, 25, and 26, which were cargo camera inputs, probably off a 25 or 3500. And then it continues on to pin 30 across this row here. The 4th row down at the bottom left is where we pick up 31, 32, and 33 and continue across. There's like a group of 4 wires in this bottom right corner here that are the microphone inputs for the radio. And then we pick up 41 at this large cavity and go across, you see on the embossed end, to 44. And then it moves on through the larger numbers down to, what does it end at? 52, which you can't really see here. But it's very important people don't mix this up when they're working with these camera wires, because it's easy to do. What I'd like to show you next is how to get the terminals out, because sometimes you go and install, whether it's the Mopar camera kit or our BuCam Reroute, if you're trying to get the camera off the rear view mirror display and over to the 8.4 radio after an upgrade, then you may come out and find your truck is partially wired. The wires may not go anywhere. They go down to a connector by the brake pedal typically. But if you have to deal with this connector, whether you're adding terminals or not, I'm going to show you how to get these terminals out and tape them up afterwards. So we're going to start on the front with this terminal lock plate, this red plate. And you're going to go in through the side here and carefully try to work this up, because there's this pinch connector here, or pinch lock, on the side that's holding it down on each side. You pull that up a little bit, come around to the other side, and work this up and hopefully not break this lock. And if, you know, generally it's going to pop up to a release position, you know, about, I don't know, quarter, an eighth inch up. Or you can take it all the way out either way. But a little bit up, it'll kind of hit a stop and it'll lock in the out position. And if you have empty terminals that you're trying to use, that there's no wires already in there, then you can go ahead and take your terminals and install them into the connector without taking the red plate off, and then snap the plate in afterward after the terminal's locked in, and it locks them in so they can never come out without removing it or serious damage. However, in this case, there's 3 wires in this for 31, 32, and 33 we've got to get out. So we're going to go ahead and take this terminal lock plate out, and let me see here. Heck, I got to flip it over a couple times. So here's the terminals, and let me see if you can see this. On the very outer edge of this edge, there's a little plastic lock that holds the terminal in so it can't pull out the back. And, you know, you can give it a little push and pull, and you can feel it go back and forth and kind of hit the lock and stop. So what I've got is a little pick tool here that I've actually sharpened up a little bit, or you can use an X-Acto knife, works as well. And you're just going to go in just above the metal here, and you're going to lift up the plastic locking tab and then gently pull the wire out from the back, and it'll just pop right out. So if you've got three of these terminals in here, that's how you're going to get it out. You can kind of feel the plastic lift it up. I like the X-Acto because it's flat and I can get right up in there, and then I can just rotate a little bit to lift the lock up off the terminal. So there's 2 out of the 3 out, and this is of course much harder to do in the truck between lack of lighting and limited movement with the connector tied to the harness. It can be very frustrating. So we've got that out. Now we can install our 3 terminals. In this case, this is the pinned end of our camera reroute harness. And let me see. In this case, we've got them labeled 31, which is the bottom left here. And basically, you're just going to insert it in there. And if it feels restriction, you're going to just flip it over 180 degrees and install it until you feel it click. There's 31, 32, and 33. Took a little more effort to go in, but it went in and locked. And there's where the backup camera input is for the radios on at least the 4th gen trucks at 2013 to 18 and the classic 4th gen body styles. And once that's in, you can put your plate in to lock it back down, and then you can install this back into the radio, and the other end of this will go right over to the passenger side to complete your camera reroute. It's probably best to you can just decide which end of the camera reroute you want to work with first, whether it's over at the passenger side air vent or the radio. Pick your poison. Hope that helps everyone. If you have any questions, just reach out via RAM Forum or the M2 Mods for RAM site, and I'll try to get you squared away. Have a great day.